Hello everybody, Chris Campbell here in Campbell's Antique Clock and Watch Repair tonight. This is part 2 of the regulator clock rebuild. We've got all the parts out of the parts washer. I've got the stands back onto the clock. This is the top plate, nice and shiny and clean. The next step that we're going to do now is burnish it. So we're going to take some wooden toothpicks, and to burnish, what we're going to do is place them into the pivot holes and just move them back and forth, cleaning out the pivot holes. We're wanting to get any of the grit, dirt, grime, excess oil, grease, anything that would prevent the pivots from being able to smoothly turn. And as you can see, we are now turning the toothpick black. So that's a good sign that it's getting clean. Okay, and we'll do this hole here, and we're doing both sides, so we're going to flip this plate over, and we'll start on this side also. Do this pivot and this one, and we'll flip the toothpick over, do this pivot, and this one. All right. So now that side has been completely burnished, nice and shiny. Now we're going to take a fresh pick and do this opposite. This is the bottom or the back plate. Okay. And this clock will run for another 150 plus years with this service. So the customer will not have to worry about servicing this clock probably during their lifetime, or for many more years for that matter. When we do clock repair, we do quality work. We believe in doing the job right the first time. And we're kind of like Dave of Wendy's. We do not cut corners. So I believe in doing a good job right the first time. Okay. So that is a completely burnished clock. All the pieces have now been cleaned. The escapement wheel has now been repaired. We had to bend and polish and file 3 teeth, and we have got those now completely cleaned and shaped. We've also polished all the pivots, so all the gears now have nice polished pivots. As you can see, they're smooth, nice mirror shape, beautiful, cleaned. And this one was the tricky part, because we couldn't put it in the lathe with this part rotating, so I had to do all of this by hand with an emery file. But we got that one completely polished, and this one on this side also as well. All right, so now the next step is we're going to go ahead and get the cable and put the cable into the cable wheel, hook it up to our new pulley, and get everything timed just right so that it'll work, and install it, and then put everything back together and time everything to make sure that it'll work properly. So this is part 2 of the regulator wall clock rebuild, so stay tuned for part 3. Alrighty, so now we're back. I'll remove the plate. I've already put the new cable onto the great wheel. I've put the pulley onto the cable, and I've already tied off the cable to the post here. So now what we're going to do is start assembling and fitting everything. Alrighty, so now we're going to put in our warning stop. Okay. our escapement wheel. And we're going to go ahead and put in our time wheel. Everything has to fit just right. Alrighty. Okay, so far so good. Now comes the fun part. Lining up all the pivots and making sure everything is completely aligned like it should be. And this is where patience is virtue, because this is the part that is always the most frustrating. Alright, so we got that side. Now we're going to go ahead and put our first screw in. We're not tightening it, just holding it. And we'll go ahead and put this screw in. Whoop, and we've dropped out of one. And that's why I said sometimes this can be a curse. Alright, there we go. Make sure that everything is perfect. All right. And we are. Alrighty, so now we're going to go ahead and tighten these down. Alright, now the pulley will actually fit like so. And what we're going to do is make an S hook for here to hook to our weight, which will hang here. Alright, so to do that, I have a piece of raw round stock, and let's see, I need a pair of pliers. And so what we're going to do is just make an S. Okay, that's one side. Let me hold this so that I can, there we go. All right, perfect. So this will go here. The pulley will rest there, and we'll just do it this way. And perfect, just like so. All right, so right now we're just test fitting it to be sure that it works, and it does. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove my legs. This is the base for the clock. And as you can see, this very old cast iron. So the way this works is the pendulum will hang from the suspension spring. And inside of the pendulum is a hole. That hole is what this verge fits into, this piece here. So as the clock ticks back and forth, that's what moves the pendulum back and forth, and the pendulum sways freely on the suspension spring. Now, what we're going to do is go ahead and remove these brass clips that hold the movement into place. These are basically just tapered pins. Alright. And now we're going to test fit. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And now we're going to push the tapered pins back into their hole. And what I'm going to end up having to do is make another pin, because I realized that it's missing one for the bottom end, but that's no big deal. I can make that. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and do that. Let's see. Yeah. What I'm going to do is just trim off about that much. And it doesn't take much to make a tapered pin. Alright, and that's all it takes. And so now we are good to go. Now what I'm going to do is apply some pressure as if it had, and the escapement wheel is working, so that's great. All right. Okay, so we have now finished the complete overhaul build of this movement. The next thing that we're going to do is cut the glass for the case. We're going to go ahead and install this on our test stand with the weight and make sure that it runs accurately and positive, with a positive beat and without any beat error. And then we will install it in the case, and it'll be ready for the customer to pick up. Beautiful clock for its age, very antique, very well made, and it will last for another 100+ years. Alright, this is Chris Campbell with Campbell's Antique Clock and Watch Repair of Anderson. If you have any antique clocks, watches, or pocket watches that need servicing, repaired, or appraisals, or overhauled or serviced, come see me today. 864-608-5095. We get in work from all 50 states. We have contracts throughout the United States with pawn shops and watch clocks shops. We are the largest clock and watch maker in South Carolina. We make a lot of parts for clocks and watches, gears, especially pinions, trunnions, you name it. So give me a call today. Have a wonderful evening.